In this video, we're going to be looking at the early development of the Nazi Party from 1920 to 22. So in the first instance, we're going to look briefly at Hitler's background and early life, when he joined and took over the German Workers' Party, or DAP, the early growth and features of the DAP, which later became the NSDAP, and the 25-point plan and the role of the SA and other factors in bringing about Hitler's seizure of power. So who was Adolf Hitler? Now, he was not actually born in Germany, but was born in Braunau in Austria on the 20th of April 1889. He came from a middle-class background. His dad was a customs official, and his mother, who died of cancer when he was 18, was someone who was particularly important in his early life as he was devoted to her. Although he was a talented artist, he failed his exams at school and struggled to find a way in life. He moved to Vienna, but failed to get a place in the Vienna Art Academy and ended up doing a variety of jobs, including labouring, being a house painter, and even a road sweeper. And he spent a lot of time living in hostels and not having one place to live. So eventually he moved to Munich in South Germany in 1913. And it was this move to Munich which saw the beginning of the next stage of Hitler's life, as World War I broke out, and he was very quick to sign up to fight on the side of Germany. He was brave and effective as a soldier, and very quickly became promoted to a corporal and was considered a conscientious soldier by his officers. He was wounded twice in the war and awarded an Iron Cross medal for bravery. And at the end of the war, he was in hospital, blinded by a mustard gas attack. And when he found out that Germany had surrendered, he never really forgave the Weimar Republic and its leaders for the stab in the back, as he felt they could have gone on to win the war. So how did Hitler go from that wartime hospital into getting into politics? So at the end of the war, the army put Hitler to work spying on extremist parties. He started attending the meetings of the German Workers' Party, the DAP, in his now hometown of Munich. They're founded by a railway worker called Anton Drexler in 1919 and were a tiny group that focused on the ideas of nationalism and socialism. There were only 23 people at the first meeting Hitler attended. However, he was attracted by their ideas, and rather than spying on them, he soon joined them. After joining them, it only took Hitler 2 years to seize complete control of what was then called the German Workers' Party. So there are 5 main parts to Hitler seizing control of the DAP. First of all, it was his impact on party policy, where he co-authored a 25-point programme with Drexler and became influential in their policy. He soon became their main draw at their meetings with his personal appeal as a public speaker, and he used his position to take over the party organisation, eventually having a party leadership contest with Drexler, and he used their own private army, the SA, or stormtroopers, to seize control. So Hitler first started to seize control through the area of policy. He worked on policy as the head of propaganda from 1920. He ensured that the party were opposed to the Weimar government and the Treaty of Versailles. They saw democracy as a weak form of government, and they were opposed to the Jewish people in Germany. Now, these policies were set out in a 25-point plan detailing the ideas of the German Workers' Party, and this plan was a mix of nationalist and socialist ideas. So what do we mean by National Socialists? The Nazi policies, as we said earlier, were a mix of 2 different ideologies, nationalism and socialism. Now, nationalists believe in making the country stronger and more independent. Fundamentally, nationalism is about building up your own country. Socialists, however, believe that all land, industry and wealth should belong to all the workers. Now actually, that normally meant all the workers in the whole world, but the National Socialists focus on the workers in that country. And they set out a 25-point programme, and I've sketched out a few of them here. There were things like demanding the union of all Germans in a greater Germany, a very nationalist policy, equality of rights for the German people in dealing with other nations, land and colonies to feed the people, very nationalist. Only those of German blood are members of the nation, and crucially, no Jew may be a member of the nation. The state's primary duty to promote work and the livelihood of its citizens, quite a socialist policy. All citizens should have equal rights and equal duties, again quite socialist. We demand a law to take from the owners of any land needed for the common good of the people, again quite socialist, trying to help the ordinary working people. The creation of a people's army, very nationalist, and a strong central state power for the Reich, a very nationalist policy. Now these policies were important in initially getting support for the DAP. However, it was actually Hitler's talent as a public speaker which soon began to gain more and more support. This is for many reasons. First of all, he rehearsed his speeches carefully. He purposely started slowly and built up tension and energy in speech until it became a frenzied rant. He used body language effectively, leaning in to fix his eyes on his audience and wave his hands vigorously in the air. He had paintings like the one shown here produced to show his talents. And membership grew to 1,000 by June 1920 and 3,000 by the end of 1920. Also used the organisation of the party to gain support. He became Drexler's right-hand man in the party, and he was the first person to set up a permanent office in Munich and ensure that the party was much more organised. Now this helped a great deal. It meant that the meetings were better advertised, and party membership and funds began to increase. He also changed the name to the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or the NSDAP, Nazis for short, which helped it gain popularity, as it highlighted that it was both a national and socialist party. He adopted the swastika, shown here, and the straight-armed salute, which gave it a very distinctive nature. And he bought a people's newspaper, called the People's Observer in 1920, to try and get the ideas of the Nazi Party across to the masses. Hitler was confident enough to challenge the party chairman and founder Anton Drexler. So in July 1921, he used the fact that the NSDAP threatened to merge with the Socialist Party. Hitler was not happy about this, and he said he would resign if they did. Now, by this point, he was so powerful, the NSDAP realised that they could not lose Hitler as their main public speaker and main person who gained them support. So they begged him to come back, but he only agreed to come back as chairman of the party. Drexler was retained as an honorary president, though he soon faded from view and had little power in the party. So Hitler surrounded himself with his key supporters, people like Rudolf Hess, his deputy, Hermann Goering, a young, dashing and wealthy First World War fighter pilot, Julius Streicher, a publisher who founded another Nazi newspaper, Der Stürmer, and Ernst Röhm, an ex-army officer who was popular amongst army soldiers. And the Nazis' own private army, the SA, which was the main way which Hitler started to exert control. He formed his own private army called the SA, or Stormtroopers, led by Ernst Röhm. These were unemployed ex-soldiers who were recruited to parade the streets as a show of force in their distinctive brown uniforms, and they were actually called the Brown Shirts. They were used to control crowds and suppress opposition when there was a rally, and they impressed people with their order. But they were also sent to opposition meetings to disrupt them, and became a key part of the Nazi regime. So, this was when Hitler seized complete control. By the party conference of January 1922, he had complete control of the Nazi Party. The members gave up their right to elect their leaders, and he showed his dominance in a 2.5-hour long speech, making it clear he was in charge of the Nazi Party. In summary, Hitler was born in Austria, but had little success as a young man. He was a good soldier in World War I, giving him a sense of military efficiency, hatred of Weimar, and a purpose in life. He joined the DAP, the German Workers' Party, and swiftly set about taking over. He helped develop a National Socialist policy through the 25-point programme. His personal popularity and public speaking swelled the party ranks. He developed the party's organisation and adopted the swastika and straight-arm salute to make it more distinctive. In July 1921, he forced Drexler, its founder, to step down and he became chairman. He used the SA to show order and intimidate opponents. And by January 1922, he had seized complete control of the newly formed Nazi Party.